This is the story of the Smuggler Mine, and what is quite interesting is the fact that it was this mine that produced the largest silver nugget ever found. It was in 1894 that miners cut out a large hunk of solid silver that weighed 2,360 pounds. It was too big to bring out of the mine in one piece, so the nugget was broken into three pieces, the largest weighing 1,840 pounds. The Smuggler Mine got its start in 1879 when two prospectors, Edward Fuller and Con Albright, found what would turn out to be the Smuggler Mine. The two prospectors never worked the mine, as they sold the claim for much-needed money to buy additional supplies. The two men had lost everything in a bushfire and were in need of cash and supplies real bad. In fact, it is said that their mules ended up missing during the fire. Another story is about a man named Charles Bennett who was supposedly the first person to file a record on the claim, but that too is also questionable. Either way, Charles Bennett somehow managed to acquire the claim, which he named Smuggler, and added it to his group of claims that he had throughout the Valley Range. Then in 1880, Charles sold all his claims to Clark Wheeler, Charles Hallam, and David Hyman. David Hyman formed the Aspen Town and Land Company to survey 280 acres of ranch land. Then he subdivided it, named the streets after themselves, and sold the lots for $10. These lots turned out to be the lots and streets of what is now the city of Aspen. Here's another example of how a tourist mecca like Aspen was started by miners and mining. Once mining got underway, the Smuggler Mine proved to be a profitable mine. The Sherman Silver Purchase Act in 1890 was passed, and that allowed for an increased amount of silver the federal government was required to purchase. This, of course, helped the mine and its workers and contributed to the prosperity of the city. By this time, the population reached over 10,000 people, and the Smuggler Mine had around 200 workers. Then in 1893, Congress repealed the Sherman Silver Purchase Act and the silver price fell, and many of the area's silver mines had to close. The Smuggler Mine slowed down its operations and laid off about 70 of its 200 miners. By 1895, the silver price was on its way back up and the mine started to recover from the previous slow years. In 1897, however, the mine had a fire, and this fire caused some of the pumps to quit and some of the lower tunnels and shafts became flooded out with water. By 1900, the mine was up and running full capacity, and even though the silver price never regained to where it was before, the mine added more workers. By this time, the mine was pounding out almost 250 tons of silver ore every day. Then in 1904, the mine experienced flooding again, and this slowed down production, and it seemed things were going from bad to worse. The silver being mined was a lower grade, and silver prices had fallen again. Several other mines in the area have closed up, and the town's population, which was over 10,000 in 1890, was now down to about 2,000. Then in 1912, some of the miners decided to strike, and this led to some disruptive times. However, the strike did not last long and miners were back to work. In the years after the strike, the cost of pumping out the mine cut into the smugglers' profits and discouraged further investment. In 1917, Smuggler reached the bottom of the vein that had been the mine's main source of ore to that point. The Smuggler Mine lay dormant then until after the Second World War, when it was opened again, but just for a brief period of time. In the early 1980s, the Hyman family sold the mine to Stephen Alboy, a mining enthusiast who was hoping to make the old mine profitable again. However, with low silver prices, he was unable to make a profit, so he decided to run mine tours. After a bunch of legal battles with local government officials, he killed himself. His two partners then formed the new Smuggler Mining Corporation and continued mining and running mine tours. In 2012, the two partners then put the mine up for sale, listing it with Sotheby's for $9.5 million. It is said that the Smuggler Mine still has about 890,000 pounds of recoverable silver ore still deep inside its veins. I hope you enjoyed this short story about the old Smuggler Silver Mine. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to bring you more old lost mine stories.